Darcy. I'm director of the Mexican Community Band, and we got a fun Americana patriotic selection for you tonight. As usual, we will start with the Star Spangled Banner, so we ask for you, to, if you can, to please stand. So the Star Spangled Banner, national anthem of the United States, whose lyrics come from the poem Defense of Fort McHenry, written in 1814 by Francis Scott Key after witnessing the bombardment of Fort McHenry by the British ships of the Royal Navy. The poem was set to the tune of a popular British song, To Anacreon in Heaven, sorry about that, with various lyrics, which was already popular in the United States when it was set to Key's poem and renamed the Star Spangled Banner. It would soon become a well-known American patriotic song. Although the poem has 4 stanzas, only the first is commonly sung today. The banner was recognized for official use by the Navy in 1889 and by President Woodrow Wilson in 1916. It was made the national anthem by Congressional Resolution March 3rd of 1931, which was signed by President Hoover. Busy streets tonight. Before 1931, other songs served as the hymns of American officialdom. Hail Columbia served this purpose at official functions for most of the 19th century. My Country 'Tis of Thee, whose melody is identical to God Save the Queen, the British national anthem, also served as a de facto anthem. Our next song will be Manhattan Beach March by John Philip Sousa. It was dedicated to the famous Manhattan Beach Summer Resort in New York in 1893, where Sousa became a popular figure. This march was derived from an earlier march Sousa had worked on that was probably entitled the Phoenix March. The Manhattan Beach March has become a staple of bands around the world. Please enjoy the Manhattan Beach March. Our next piece we're going to play for you tonight is called Red River Valley, which is a folk song, or sometimes considered cowboy music, and it has controversial origins that have gone by many different names. For example, Cowboy Love Song, Bright Sherman Valley, the Bright Laurel Valley, in the Bright Mohawk Valley, and Bright Little Valley, depending on where it has been sung. Please enjoy this band setting of a familiar folk tune by the composer Pierre Laplante. when we're teaching the kids in the school about the history of music and things of that nature, when we get to the 18 and 1900s, it's sometimes a hard lesson for them to understand. What you just heard was popular music in the late 1800s. That's what they went to the park to hear, or the concert hall, the vaudeville theater, you know, until ragtime came on at the very end of the 1800s, turn of the century, and then turned into jazz. That was pop music. And then they also have a hard time understanding that the whole first half of the 1900s was jazz. It's like, well, what about rock and roll? Rock and roll didn't happen until after that. So, you know, sometimes it's hard to for them to comprehend that. And, you know, that was only, that's a lot of math, 120 years ago. So, yeah, 130, 130 years ago. So, you know, relatively short time ago. All right. This next one is a new one for us. We've never ever played it. One of our members, David Ham, found it and brought it to us, and so we're glad to be able to play it this year. 4 Cohan songs. George Michael Cohan was an American entertainer, playwright, composer, lyricist, actor, singer, dancer, and theatrical producer. He was a busy guy. Cohan began his career as a child performing with his parents and sister in a vaudeville act known as The 4 Cohans. Beginning with Little Johnny Jones in 1904, he wrote, composed, produced, and appeared in more than 36 Broadway musicals. Cohan wrote more than 50 shows and published more than 300 songs during his lifetime, including the standards Over There, Give My Regards to Broadway, The Yankee Doodle Boy, and You're a Grand Old Flag. Known in the decade before World War I as the man who owned Broadway, he is considered the father of American musical comedy. His life and music were depicted in the Oscar-winning film Yankee Doodle Dandy. Please enjoy this medley of Cohan tunes, including Give My Regards to Broadway, Yankee Doodle Dandy, Over There, and You're a Grand Old Flag.
Basic tattoo.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I thank Dave for finding that. We're always looking for new music. I need to take the time to thank some people. You know, Mexico School District, of course, gives us tons of music to use. The city has a small library itself that they've built up over the time of the band. We've also borrowed from the Fulton School District on a regular basis, Centralia and Paris, not recently, but we have. So, you know, I'm lucky that people like me enough to let me borrow things a little bit. So, thank you to those people for letting us borrow things. Oh, I didn't make notes on this one. That's okay. I can wing it. So our next piece is called "The Band in the Square" on the 4th of July. This is a nice little march that we found at school a year or so ago, and you need to picture yourself as you're listening, like you're down on the square, and the band's coming down the road, and you know it's far off, and you can hear it coming, and it gets right next to you, and it's probably too loud. And then it leaves, and then you hear the murmurings of it going away. So that's kind of what this march depicts. We hope you enjoy the band in the square on the 4th of July. Our next piece will be selections from The Music Man. It's hard to find a musical that has wider appeal and more captivating music than Meredith Willson's The Music Man. Whether your favorite version is the 1962 film version featuring Robert Preston and Shirley Jones, or the more recent 2003 production featuring Matthew Broderick and Kristen Chenoweth, we are sure that you will enjoy this medley, which features the tunes The Wells Fargo Wagon, Till There Was You, and 76 Trombones.
I can't eat. I see.
If you're ever in north central Iowa and have some time to kill, go to Mason City. Mason City is where Meredith Willson, the composer of The Music Man, is from, and he based the town River City from the musical on Mason City. And they have a little museum there, and they also have, it's like a musical instrument history museum there too. It's a really neat stop. It'll take you a half hour to go through there, you know, nice little stop. So if you're ever like north of Des Moines, almost Minnesota, that's where Mason City's at. Make it a stop. All right, now we're gonna get to our really patriotic part of the concert. We're gonna start with America the Beautiful. The lyrics were written by Catherine Lee Bates, and the music was composed by church organist and choirmaster Samuel A. Ward. Bates originally wrote the words as a poem entitled Pike's Peak. First published on the 4th of July edition of the church periodical The Congregationalist in 1895, Ward's music combined with Bates' poem was first published in 1910, entitled America the Beautiful. Please enjoy James Swearingen's setting of America the Beautiful. Thank you. Our next piece, God Bless the USA, was written in 1983 by Lee Greenwood. When he was moved to compose the song, he had wanted to write his whole life by one tragic event. That event was a Russian shooting down of a Korean jet flying to Seoul from New York City, where 269 people, including 63 Americans, had lost their lives. Greenwood stated, "I saw the senseless strike as a personal attack against our countrymen, and it moved me to put pen to paper." The song came so easily, it nearly wrote itself. God bless the USA.
Those bubbles.
All right, next we're going to recognize some of our veterans, or maybe families of veterans. Do I have a Bob Finland out there? Is he out there somewhere? There he is. I knew he'd be here. Bob's going to help us out on this one. He helps us every year. We love to have him. We're going to do a salute to America's finest. If you have served in any capacity in the services of the United States, please stand if you are able when your song is played so that we can recognize all those who are present. If you are a family member, I can't write apparently. If you are a family member or a loved one of those who served, you are more than welcome to represent them as well. The order of the songs will be as follows, and that's what Bob's going to do. He's going to help us out here. First, we have the Army. Army goes rolling along. Navy, Anchors Away. Coast Guard, Semper Paratus. The Marine Corps with the Marines Hymn. And then we'll finish up with the Air Force song, Into the Wild Blue Yonder. Thank you, Bob, for helping us out. We appreciate it. Okay, let's go, folks.
Oh, what is it?
Fellow GIs, All right, thank you all for participating. Thank you, Bob, for helping us out again. Give him a hand. We got one more song. Before we play that, I want to remind you, we are an open group, and we'd love to have anybody who played. If you're saying, well, my instrument's been in the closet for too long, or, sometimes things get better with age. Sometimes. But, I can take a look at it, make sure it works and all that sort of thing. If you don't have one, I could let you borrow one. I got my preacher that way. Yeah, she thought I was joking. But we come from here, there, and everywhere. We meet Thursday nights at the Mexico High School Band Room, except for this Thursday we're not meeting. We're taking off for the holiday weekend. But the next week we'll be back in session. 7 o'clock at the high school band room. If you don't know where that's at, it's by the greenhouse. All right, if you can find the greenhouse at the high school, you can find the band room. It's right there. But we'd love to have you. We got one more concert this season, which I believe is July 19th. And right now, all I really know about it is we have several marches, because I haven't picked everything else yet. But there's going to be lots of marches. So if you like marches, come on out and listen. And so far, the 2 nights we've had band concerts have been pretty cool compared to the last couple weeks. So maybe that'll happen again in July. Maybe. I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you for supporting us. For those of you who bring your family to help us play, we thank you certainly and hope you have a safe trip home. But we're going to finish tonight with God Bless America. Written by Irving Berlin in 1918 and revised by him in 1938. The latter version was notably recorded by Kate Smith, becoming her signature song. God bless America. Thank you and have a great night.
Toss, beat, cut the sausage. Back.
I would.